Dum 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 dum.
You are carousing in the Sleeping Lion one evening when an Enoch's Keeper of the Oak approaches. She speaks so quietly you can barely hear her voice. I've heard unsettling news from my colleagues in the south. The Serpent's Kiss River has darkened to black, corrupting the fresh water that is crucial to the marshlands. Can you investigate? We'll go at once, you hear Cassandra saying resolutely. And then she waves her hand in the air and a portal appears beside your table. You begrudgingly follow her through, though you would have much preferred to finish your drink. What the heck is this? Welcome to the land of Gloomhaven. This is essentially how I nowadays play Gloomhaven. I have played Gloomhaven from the very first scenario all the way through the first 50 or 60 scenarios with friends, solo, both in capacity of playing it strategically and tactically, and then dumbing down the mechanics to a point where the remaining 30 episodes of the main campaign were played pretty much broken. I'm not a big fan of the mechanics because I feel like they make this a game of chess, a strategy game, rather than a very immersive cinematic experience. And so I would take away a lot of the items that were common to typical Gloomhaven. The gold cards that the characters have, for instance, I don't even have them anymore. I kind of just tossed them out. Even the cards of the enemies with their modifier cards, I've now taken out. Essentially, I've taken out so much that any serious gamer would look at this and say, like, your game is broken. Like, you can't even play this. And I would agree with them. I'm not playing Forgotten Circles, the expansion of Gloomhaven, the first expansion. I'm not playing that anymore according to any of the rules. I just leave all these rules out and I just dive into the scenarios and I play the scenarios cinematically. Now, what does that mean? Well, first of all, this is how the setup is of a normal Gloomhaven game. You would have your characters, you would have the board. You would make the board with tiles. You can see here the map as it starts out. You would see like your enemies and your tiles that you put down here, where your characters start, the tiles that you would need later on. Coins, because coins are fun. These are coins from Charterstone. I like the way that they sound. Normally I would put them on there and pick those up, but I don't even play for gold anymore. The equipment that I have on my characters, they are equipment that would fit the character thematically. So, for instance, I would have a flea-bitten shawl. I would have a rift device. The same goes for the other character that I have. I would always play with two characters. The Tinkerer, for instance, has a telescopic lens because that's what you see on her face. A steam armor also seems appropriate. Rocket boots is another thing that would seem that she would use. But then again, I'm still not using any of the mechanics on the cards. I'm just essentially just looking at the titles and saying like, well, this is thematically what they would wear. Now, let me show you first the magic of the cinematic experience, and I'm going to make this into this. So you can see all of a sudden there's a whole scene in front of you. Now, a lot of this stuff is just from hobby stores, like these trees. They just come from model stores where you can buy miniature trains and landscapes. The moss, the same thing. The stones, for instance, I just made with clay. The same with the trees, the tree stumps, the watery effect. I essentially put some silicone glue or some gloss you can also use on the tiles to actually make the water look shiny. That's kind of it. You see some walls, maybe a door. That's replacing the standard token. These come from Maladum. That comes with a lot of components that you can swap out in Gloomhaven. For instance, this is the altar, and this is the altar in Maladam, which looks a lot more thematic and, of course, three-dimensional. I have some treasure chests from Chronicles of Drunagor, another dungeon crawler. But you can see that this little treasure chest is a lot more thematic than just a token on the board. It also adds some 3D elements to it. You can see some shelving units. I think Descent, Legends in the Dark also has these kind of cabinets that you can actually explore and look into. Some extra tiles here that you can use for lava, for instance. These tiles, they were part of Fujikoro Deluxe, a game that I no longer have, but I kept these components. I have, like, from Shadows of Brimstone, I have like a little gateway in it, so they open portals and they come out. And like one of the miniatures from a previous party, I actually turn it into one that opens actually portals by taking off her hand and putting like a little disc on there. So it's these little kind of things that make it more thematic. It's nice to read the story, use the app to listen to the story. It's even better thematically. Have some thematic music playing on the background, and then just see, you know, what elements activate the new parts of the dungeon. But as you read through these, then you kind of like start playing in a cinematic fashion. So how would that work? I got the diviner here. She is the Esther that helps you on your way to get from place to place. The dimensional portal opens up on what you can only describe as paradise. Idyllic fields spread as far as the eyes can see in colors you had never thought possible. Before you lays a winding path through a grove of trees with bright pink flowers and orange leaves. The aroma alone threatens to overwhelm you as you walk in awe of your surroundings. Suddenly you are interrupted by a shout. Flying down from the trees, something a third the size of a regular human, with wings sprouting from its back, lands in front of you. "State your name and business," it demands. You hesitate, not certain how to respond. Take an option. Look at the back. Again, ignore kind of the gameplay effects, but you can just read as an effect of going through the gate. Great. I throw this card away. And then we are in the gate, coming out, and we see this scene. So on the other side, you find yourself knee-deep in the lingering swamp. Greeted by heavy rain, you grimace and shiver as you trudge behind Cassandra through the mire, sensing a strange and ominous presence beyond the mist. You continue. The fight begins, as it typically does. It says here, destroyed the source of unnatural darkness. Let's do that. So I'm just going to start taking cards. Take one card from the Diviner, one from the Tinkerer. Deep Contemplation and Jet Propulsion. Okay, you see Invisible there, and again, Deep Contemplation. So this character sort of like retreats behind the tree and is in deep contemplation, and blink, all of a sudden she's invisible. So I'm going to take her away for a moment. Jet Propulsion, our Tinkerer blasts across the landscape. It'll land somewhere here. Doesn't really matter exactly where it lands. And now the Spitting Drakes and the what were the other ones? The Rendering Drakes. They're all like confused. Like, whoa, what is happening, you know? And these two decide to surround him. This one crawls through the bushes to get to it. End first round. What? No cards to look at, so modifiers or attack cards or whatever. No, it doesn't matter because we're not going to play the scenario ever again. We're just getting through it for the story. So let's continue. Anguish and Salvation. Retaliate, range 4 within all allies and heal. She decides to sneak, go through the water. And as soon as that he attacks, she zings out with her rift device, maybe warping this character through the gate to dimensions unknown. Gone. Harsh Stimulants. Now that's a big attack card. Attack 9. You can see it's a level 8 card. I am not playing at level 8 here. I have just taken all of the cards and put them into the deck just for the variety's sake of the thematic titles. But you can see it's a huge attack card. So in this case, I'm just going to swipe both of these. Harsh Stimulants. She imbibes some harsh stimulants that maybe she found growing here in the bushes and swipes both of these out and then sneaks up to look behind the wall. She sees the Spitting Drakes flying back and forth around their nests, probably guarding their young ones. What will happen next? Hurry up, guys! The gate is about to close. Try to find that source of unnatural darkness and destroy it. Hand of Destiny. Not exactly sure what to do with this. Too much text, so I'm just going to continue walking to catch up with our Tinkerer. Lethal Injection. Kill one normal or elite enemy, or poison. So she sneaks up behind this Drake, because this Drake is just minding his own business. She sneaks with her and stabs it with a lethal injection, putting her down, and then opens the door. What's next? Well, who knows? Now we get to lay out these two parts of the map. But you can see we played this in a matter of like under a minute, maybe 2 minutes. We're making up a story, emerging story as it goes along. And we're just having a little bit of fun. These are all toys. We're enjoying ourselves. We have the cards to give us a little bit of inspiration. We have some equipment items that we can use. And we have an adventure. Now, after this adventure, what happens then? Well, we travel through the rift. We can grab some more rift cards. Or maybe we decide to go overland. In this case, we would grab a few of these road cards, but I can also set up a little diorama. One, we have the road scene with some few random event cards that we've decided to draw to see what happens while they're making their way from a dungeon back to the city. And the point of this little scene is really just to get sort of into the mood. Read what's happening here. Maybe if you encounter like a character, you can put a character on there, maybe from the original Gloomhaven, and you can play it out a little bit. It's all about theater of the mind. Likewise, we come into the city, and now we grab some city event cards. And we do some shopping at a nearby store or at the market that you see displayed here. And we grab a few random cards and we say like, well, maybe it would be nice to have a cut purse dagger this time, or a thief's hood, or maybe we need a throwing axe for the next mission. Again, this is sort of a cinematic experience. And so you play out these encounters on these little scenes. Components from the scenes, they can come from a variety of games. I have tiles here from Descent 2nd Edition. I have some Maladam pieces here. Again, some hobby trees, and this is from Dungeons and Lasers, I think. If you enjoy painting miniatures, then of course it benefits cinematic play like this. But you could really use anything. You could even have like a drawn out map. You could just play on like one of these neoprene maps and just have the characters wander around there. Point is just to kind of like enjoy the story, enjoy the melding of event cards together with the adventure book, and have like a general sense of a campaign growing. This is basically how I play the remainder of the episodes of Gloomhaven Forgotten Circles. It is not to everyone's taste, I understand that. If you do want to see a little bit of where my inspiration comes from, please check out my previous video that talks about the design principles of adventure games, why we play games, what is fun, essentially. This contributes to my fun of enjoying Gloomhaven in a more thematic manner, in a more cinematic manner. And check out the next video, which will be a review of Gloomhaven proper, the entirety of the experience, both as it was meant to be played, including Jaws of the Lion, and Forgotten Circles, played in a more cinematic manner. And I'll see you next time, and just remember, keep on exploring.
Dum,